makes a pass that a transit is visible, it creates the silhouette of the shape of the ISS, they tell us. That's Globebusters, David Weiss.
Maybe he was just speculating.
All right, I'm going to get you the clip.
Who cares? Yeah, maybe he's speculating. The point is that
people, we can see
an international
the
space
ISS
station
transit a lot.
You guys,
we can
no,
see
you
the
can't.
You can see it multiple nights.
You cannot see it a
ISS
lot,
with a good
dude.
telescope.
See, it's just like always, right? The flat
No,
earthers
but we can
are
see the ISS with
the flat earthers
a
are the
good
ones that
telescope.
actually go out there and constantly look at it. And you were the ones that just blindly believe the story that you were told, and you blindly believe that it's 252 miles up.
None of that happens.
You ignore the inverse square law of light. You believe sun's reflecting off it perfectly, and that it's violating all kinds of physics.
Lies going to end with it. Quit telling us what we believe and what we believe.
That is what you believe.
Now listen to this, WITSIT. Just the other day, there was a pass of the ISS where Kosho and I both saw it at the same time. Now, Kosho was down in Texas in Austin. I'm up in Virginia. We're about 1,300 miles apart. The ISS was not directly in between us. It was more than 650 miles away from each of us. For each of us to have been able to see it, how high do you think that thing might have had to be?
A lot lower than 252 miles because you wouldn't have been able to see it from that high. Moron. That was my actual argument.
And we did see it. We did see it.
No. But that's why it's because it's closer. Because if it was further away at 252 miles, you wouldn't have seen it.
That is false. I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah, we
That's
know you don't.
Fuck up on your part. Don't talk while I'm talking, dickhead.
Inverse square law, bud.
The way you fucking whine about getting talked over, don't you dare fucking do it.
Inverse square law.
There is no way for you to. There is zero way for you to explain how the one object is visible to both observers that far apart without it being high enough to do so.
Yeah, there could be something high in the air. It's just not 252 miles away because the inverse square law wouldn't allow you to see it at all.
On what basis do you make the claim that it can't be that high?
Inverse square law.
Inverse square law. Let's run some numbers on the inverse square law.
Go for it.
It's your claim, dude.
No, it's your claim that the ISS is 252 miles away.
Back it up with substantive specificity.
I would love to. So, you claim that the ISS is at 252 miles up, okay, based on the inverse square law and the supposed size, because it says it reflects sunlight. You would not be able to make out the ISS with the claimed size at 252 miles away using our inverse square law. So, if you would like to show me how you can, then it's on you now because it doesn't work.
Well, can you show how it doesn't work?
Yeah, go ahead. Fuck this.
Yeah, I have to go get it. I'm not doing it right now.
What about the inverse square law would preclude you from seeing it? It's a point source of light.
What about just showing some curvature? What about just showing some curvature?
Wait, do y'all not know what that is? Do you not know?
Show us some fucking curvature and this fucking charade. How's about that? Show us some fucking curvature.
Done.
Okay,
Thank you, Rummy. I
found everything on that photo now.
Quick, save him, Brummy, quick.
Save me from what? You guys have never even have you even done the math on the inverse?
Well, you've made a claim that you don't seem.
Kidding? Come on.
Save you from having to back up your claim that you've just made that you don't seem able.
Okay, so do you guys know the official stance of why we can see the ISS from that far away?
I don't care. I just want to.
So you don't even know your side of the argument, but you know I'm wrong about it.
I just want you to
what is it,
back
Scott?
your claim up.
No, he said yes. I didn't say that.
Alright, Scott. So Scott doesn't know. Okay, Jim doesn't know.
No, I don't think there's such a thing as an official.
We can see it because it reflects light from the sun and it's bright. I think
yeah, that's a cool story. But I got a question for you. If we can see it, could it not just be smaller and closer?
Pardon me. Look, WITSIT's got a great point. You guys are telling me doesn't know.
What is the point? What's the point?
His point is that apparently, according to the inverse square law, the light. There shouldn't be enough light reflected from the ISS for us to see it. But But he just makes this claim. He doesn't show us how he's calculating.
Yeah, that's not true.
Well, 252 miles away, right?
Okay.
The perception's inversely proportional. It's the inverse square law.
Yes.
Yeah, and so why can I see something the size of the ISS from 252 miles away?
First of all, the inverse square mile is for intensity of light. Okay, you're talking about the angular size. Angular size is a different inverse square.
No, you
Sorry,
won't. No. Your perception's relative to the intensity of the light.
Well, there's both, right? So there's size and then there's intensity. So
Well, if there's
inverse
no
square-
intensity, you can't see anything.
So you're gonna keep interrupting or what? So if the inverse square law for the intensity is just that if you double the, I think it's if you double the distance, you quadruply decrease the intensity. Is that right? I think that's right. And so why in the world would you think 252 miles makes it so that you get such a decrease that you can't see it? Remember, this light originally comes from 93 million miles away. Then it hits the ISS, reflects on the ISS, and only has 200 more miles to go.
Yeah, well, I will say the globe side has a good point that light does tend to travel further. Like you can communicate with light over large distances over mountains. Like people used to use it. So, like one thing you can agree with light reflecting off something that it does seem to go, an infinite.
Heck, think about like the longest photo that we have, that Kanagu photo, right? That mountain is farther away than the ISS, and we see that fine.
Wow, thanks. Yeah, welcome to Flat Earth. But is the mountain the size of the ISS?
Well, but the light is making it. Are we talking about angular size?
The ISS is way smaller than the mountain,
I think that's where the confusion is.
No, actually, the intensity of the light's what's going to give you the perception to see the angular size. They're intrinsically.
No, that's not really true.
It's factually true. It's objective.
No, it's not true.
Okay, then explain how, if the intensity of light doesn't allow me to perceive something, I can make out an angular
Because the
size.
intensity of light will give you a point source always. So you're always going to get the point source if it's intense enough. The angular size is what lets you see the details about it, like the shape of it. Now, the ISS is far enough away that we're not going to really get much angular size from it. So we're going to just basically see a little dot. But that dot, if it's intense enough, we'll see it. And it is. It should be. Just think again. Think about the inverse square law and think about how far it's already traveled before it gets to our eyes.
Okay, guys. Let's talk about this logically, okay?
Does that make sense?
And we can just look through a telescope and see it.
How big do you guys think the ISS is?
I can understand a world when we
what I just said makes sense. It's like a football field size, but does what I said just make sense?
So, like the width or the length of the football field? No, what you said never makes sense, bro.
It is. So listen again. It's already traveled 93 million miles. Okay, it bounces off the ISS. Hold on, Rami. I'd like to just talk without you saying stuff underneath me. For 93 million miles, light travels, or for a very long time. Let's even say that. Okay. Then it hits the ISS, and for a very short time, it's got left to go to your eye. Now, if it's visible enough at that point, right? If it's can be seen in the ISS, why in the world would that extra little jump from the ISS to our eye make it so you couldn't see it?
Well, is the sun bigger than the ISS?
Yes.
Okay, so the light supposedly reflects off this football field size ISS at 252 miles away. That means that the angular reflection is going to be limited to the size of the ISS. Now, if you apply the inverse square law to that size and distance, you should be able to see. Oh, that's convenient. You can compare.
It doesn't apply the size.
Yo, but this is what you do. You account for the angular size change with distance, and you account for the intensity of light also, because that's what allows you to see things, Scott.
Two different relationships, though. There's two different equations. They're not the same equation.
Okay, but you have to account for both of them to decide what you'll be able to see?
Well, if you want to see the shape or you want to be able to resolve it, yes, you got to account for the size. If you want to just see it, you're always going to get a point source. Even if it's too small to resolve, you'll still see the light there. The moving light going across the sky. That's what you.
From 252 miles away, you can see a football field?
You don't see it as a football field. You see it as a dot, a light.
I know that, but I'm saying you can see something the size of a football field from 252 miles away.
The intensity is big enough, high enough, yes.
Okay, so I can't see a commercial plane from 30,000 feet. I can barely see it.
It's because it's not reflecting the sun brightly enough.
Calm down, man. If somebody done a space job, I'd expect to look up in the air and see them. So fucking what? We see something in the sky. It doesn't really. It's not the true argument. How do you derive the R value from a refracted point at the horizon? How do you know that the curvature that's covering boats when you can't even do it?
We just got a space turned around, and that's how we got the R value. We just looked how big it is.
No, you had to have the R value to get the space, though.
No, you didn't.
Yes, you did, because you have to get your orbital trajectory, so you need the radius of orbit.
So you believe in orbits now?
Maybe we just have a discussion.
According to your pseudoscience,
instead of using tones. I mean,
let me just say this, WITSIT,
before we carry on. When you left last time, you were talking about all other, health protection and all the rest of it. I'll just call it health protection to save the channel getting a strike, right? And you said, regardless agree or disagree on the shape of the Earth, let's be civil and have a conversation. Let's drop the tones and let's discuss the viewpoints. How about that?
Well, okay, so in order to get to space, you have to have the radius value because you need what's called the radius of orbit.
You don't really need that, but I mean, I guess it's probably a good idea to know it, but it's not absolutely necessary.
Let's follow the logic. So that means, where do we get the radius from then? Yeah, that's the next question. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like you bailed WITSIT out though.
How is he bailing me out?
There's a lot of ways to get the radius, and if you don't like those ways, then at least they were confirmed by space. But you can use all kinds of methods. You can use drop from elevation.
Let's find one. Let's stick to one. And let's go.
Which one do you want to? Which one you want to talk about? We were talking about something else a second ago, but
exactly.
Talk about Al Marooney. That's what I want to talk about.
Well, they hate this conversation. They're scared to talk about the radius, bro.
He's given up. He's given up. Shall I try this again? He's given up thinking for himself, and he's just doing Nathan Oakley catchphrases now, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, he is thinking for himself because this whole room is just allowing consensus to think for them. So, where did you get the radius value?
That's not true.
What happened?
We reached two conclusions based on the evidence.
And based on consensus, your belief in the evidence of consensus.
We look at the evidence, we examine it critically. You see us doing it all the time.
Guys, come on. Let me finish. Look, WITSIT, I left both communities. I thought I can't be asked anymore because both of them, the criticism that both of them can, have to be guilty of. But at the same time, I think that at the end of the day, ultimately, none of it's conclusive either way. There's no way that Flat Earth will make a claim that he can prove definitively that ultimately it's flat and there's no curvature ultimately. But all they say is that they get what they experience, which is a fair argument. But then
why you think the Earth is flat every single where that we observe it on the whole Earth, though, dude? So if the surface isn't.
Let him finish.
The globes will literally sit there and they'll say, "Oh, basically, we calculated on this model." And I said to him, "Well, what did you calculate from looking at the picture? Why did you calculate from that? Why did you jump to calculating something into reality?" And his brain just shut down. It's like, because globers don't really think for themselves, and that's a scary place to be also.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, 100%. The Earth is not what they told us it was. 100%.
Well, you're wrong. It's good that you're confident, but your confidence in this place, you're wrong about that.
That doesn't mean anything. You just saying it's wrong doesn't give you measurements.
You just saying 100% it's not this thing doesn't mean anything either.
Yeah, well, there's no curvature anywhere.
That's what you're saying.
Let's have an intellectually honest.
You're convincing and not conveying. Well, yeah, let's have an intellectually honest discussion. Why are you completely ignoring geodetic surveying? How do you account?
I know all about geodetic surveying.
Well, go ahead. Why are you?
Okay, the problem with geodetic surveying is that they have to take a window of average, right? A weighted mean. And when they get observations, which they do, they get observations where it would be the R value be way too big. What they do is they exclude that as anomalous. They only take readings within a window of error, okay? And then when they get these readings, throwing out all the other ones that aren't consistent with their window, they then take an average, a weighted mean, and then they go look at the NDSA, which is a globe Earth model with the R value, and they compare to the dimensions of the NDSA, and then they get a accurate or a percentage of accuracy, which is typically a good reading is about 90%. That's like a really good one. So that's throwing out the observations that disprove it.
Well, first of all, throwing out outliers.
Where's that average coming from? That average you're saying? Where's that coming from?
Hang on. Go ahead, Scott.
I'm just saying that throwing out outliers and any kind of statistical sampling is okay to do. Like, that's statistically sound behavior. That's okay. Especially if your weighted mean is converging on some answer. This thing you said about they go and check for correctness, it seems like, I don't know much about geodetic surveying compared to Jim, but it seems like that's something you're saying. I believe that's happened, but it certainly isn't going to be the way it happens every time.
Well, that's what the geodetic surveyor said.
Well, there was a time when there was nothing to check, right? The thing they check against is the result of geodetic surveying.
No. Even when they first started doing geodetic surveying, they already had a theoretical R value.
That's not true.
Really? So when did Al-Biruni come up with the R value?
Well, about 1,000 years ago. But
okay, then when was the first geodetic surveying done?
Hold on a minute. But there was a debate over what shape the Earth actually was, whether it was oblate or whether it was stretched.
An actual
apart.
human being in here just said
Can
that
I
it
finish?
would.
Can I finish?
That is longer than that.
Can I finish?
Go ahead.
So the shape of the Earth was not known, and they discovered that the Earth was oblate by making geodetic measurements. So these cannot have been checked against anything else because there was nothing else. This was in debate.
Okay, and when you say that they discovered that,
Hold on. What he's saying is when they actually got some measurements and tried to get some proper measurements, they realised it isn't just a curve they explore. It's some places were straight, some places wasn't, and that would explain why they went oblate.
That's not true.
That's why they went
okay,
oblate.
no, that's not even actually what happened. So what actually happened is they realized that the Earth was flat everywhere, and then they had to flatten out the model,
I
dude.
thought we were gonna have an intellectually honest discussion.
Dude, literally, that's what happened. So whenever you explain
Well, what
mean
evidence
sea
is there to
level, you
support
take
that?
a geoid model, which is
What
more
evidence
spherical,
is there to
and then
support
whenever
that,
you map
Winston?
out,
Just
whenever
ignore
you,
me then.
I'm not ignoring you. I'm answering it.
Well,
You're asking
well,
a
answer
question.
the
I'm in the middle
claim.
of
What
answering.
evidence is there to support your claim that you just made that they figured out at this time that the Earth was flat, and that's when they decided to?
Yeah, let me be more specific to be really
fake it.
honest. Okay, yeah, yeah.
would they call it a
Flatter than expected with the R value of a sphere.
All of a sudden, it's oblate. You know what? They measured it.
No, that is right.
Flatness. They measured flatness, and they went, "Oh, it must be oblate." That's what happened.
Yes, that's literally what happened, bro. Because they could not explain the terrain. It's because they could not explain the terrain on like a more of a spherical model, like a geoid. A geoid is more spherical. It explains the mean sea level. It's a totally different, separate model just for sea level. And then you have a different model when it comes to terrain, and it's more oblate. They flatten it out when they map out the terrain.
That's not true at all.
Oh my gosh, it literally is true.
Ultimately, your conclusion then is, Witsit, that geodetic surveyors are just all making the same mistake and all have done for 250 years.
Well, they're interpreting the data, assuming it is in fact a sphere, trying to map it out over vast distances, throwing out the outliers, which would debunk the spherical notion right there, but they just throw it out because we know the Earth's a sphere. And then
Well,
they
you
take
don't
the
know that it would. You don't know that it would debunk the sphere, do you?
Well, the geodetic surveyor, main
You don't know
surveyor
what
himself,
you don't know what outliers they've thrown out.
main surveyor himself gave me one of his and said that it would make the R value way too big.
Okay, but that doesn't make it not a sphere, though, does it?
It makes it definitely not what they told us it was. We were talking about the R value.
It makes it definitely a sphere if it has an R value.
How do outliers happen?
Outliers happen.
If you do 25 divided by 12, you got 12 hours, right?
Wait, I want to hear Scott answer it. How do the outliers happen in geodetic surveying? How do they happen?
It can't be bigger.
Let's all applaud WITSIT.
Guys, I'm not going to be in here if everyone's talking at the same time, man. I can't deal with it, man.
Just want to applaud WITSIT, which is a great job there to win the argument. Let's all just congratulate him for beating everyone in the argument.
Probably get his dick out of here.
Childish.
Guys, my question is, let's let Scott
Here's the
answer.
answer. So here's the answer.
Do you know my question?
Yes, you want to know
Okay.
how do outliers happen? You said it like 4 times. So when you take measurements, these are you're using instruments. You're being a human. They make mistakes. There's going to be error involved in the process. So sometimes you're going to get bad answers. You do a bunch of them in a row. You do a bunch of them over a long period of time. You're going to get outliers. It happens.
Okay, well that's not what happens. So
the way things get outliers.
you're just making stuff up.
No, I'm
Let
telling you.
him finish. Can you let him finish?
You're just making stuff up.
I'm not making stuff up. I've done this stuff before.
You have not.
Not surveying, but I've done things in which I've taken statistical sampling and I had to throw my outliers out. Absolutely, I have.
Okay, but that's not applicable.
Of course it is. Statistical
No.
sampling and the techniques that work apply to all of it.
Okay, so main surveyor, right, a geodetic surveyor that I debated, right, he explains to you guys, and you guys still don't even know how it works. It's wild. So a discounting user error with proper use, okay, you get outliers without user error. So that's just patently false.
How do you know the cause of
I'm
these
trying to
outliers
explain it
now? Well, how do you know the cause? Answer that
I'm
right
asking
now.
you the cause. I know the cause. The Earth is not a
But
ball.
you know that it's not error. How have you figured that out?
It's not error,
Yeah. Okay. So because
philosophically unsound.
oh my gosh. So whenever they do the exact same thing with the instrument, right, and they have computers in them now, dude.
I think they do.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
And so they look out at the distance. Now, this thing that they're looking at, it constantly fluctuates. They're just looking at an apparent location through a vast
You're
distance.
bullshitting now. You know you.
This is what they say, dude.
Jeb, what if it was a ball though? What if it was a flat Earth though? What if it wasn't a ball?
Fine, if it was, the data just doesn't support it.
What if
It
the
literally
high-
does. This data that you invoked,
Yeah,
geodetic
what if
surveying
the-
does support it.
But
what-
show us any geodetic surveying data that supports the Earth being flat.
Well, we just talked about how they throw out the outliers. You hand wave
Yes.
dismissed them.
And you
just-
said, and the example
that's a
that you
bigger
provided from a surveyor had a spherical Earth that was larger than it is, not flat.
Well, yeah, because if he assumes that it's still a sphere, he said the R value would be way too big. Well, the R value just isn't real. There's not an R value of a sphere of Earth, dude. It's flat.
You're gonna need
Listen to what you just said. Listen to how dishonest you're being right now in that moment, because you said that there's geodetic surveying shows this flat, and then he points out that actually what you said was that it shows it's a larger sphere, and then you just sort of
No, that's not what it shows. Dude, it shows that it's too flat to be the sphere the size that they claim it is.
Yes. You said the
Okay.
radius would be
So
larger
that
than
means
this data.
okay. So for me, once we falsify the radius value, the whole model falls apart. Has to be updated.
Well,
we
that's
don't even
just-
have.
that's-
Now you're
that's
interrupting.
not-
Now you're interrupting again.
Well, you're
That's not-
doing it on an outlier. Why are you falsifying it on an outlier?
No, because
Why are you ignoring all of the things that comport with each other and going, I'm going to go with this one that's different from all the others?
It's not one. It happens
probably
numerous
the right
times.
one.
It happens
Well,
numerous times.
It
Dude.
doesn't happen enough to not be outliers.
No, the
Right.
reason it's called an
Because-
outlier in this instance, the reason it's termed that or an anomalous is because it's not in the window of error. They have a window.
Because the reason
Guys,
it's called an
they
outlier is
have a
because
window,
two-thirds
and if the
deviation
readings
is
are
not
outside
the
of the
average.
listen,
Right, it
You
doesn't
take
they have a
the average,
window.
and then you look
Oh
at
my
where
God.
this is compared to the average, and it's so far away from the average. The average meaning that lots and lots of other ones were taken to get.
That's
there.
not what it means. The window
Yes,
is
it has a statistical definition. You can't change the definition.
no, but this is a weighted mean. The window
weighted
is
mean, yes, and so two standard deviations away from that weighted mean is where you're going to get your outlier.
okay, but they have a window. They only take readings in the window, then get the average, Scott.
And they don't get multiple outliers from one measurement. They might get an outlier in multiple measurements, but that's not the same thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the whole thing is that they make multiple measurements.
But what you're saying is,
Well, that's
that
the
you
calculations.
would make a measurement. What you're saying is, you would make a measurement. You would get 10 results that more or less comport with each other. One outlying result. You're going to ignore the 10 results that almost comport with each other and go with the outlying.
No, see, like if they go out there,
Why?
because that's not what I'm saying. You're strawmanning it. So there's a window they have based on the R value. Okay, so any reading outside of that window, they automatically ignore it. If they go out one day and they see it happen like 10 times in a row, they just won't use that data because it's not
Wait,
even in the.
WITSIT, that's not true.
That is what the
saying-
surveyor
you're
himself
saying
said.
the
You guys have no
outlier-
idea what you're talking about. You're lying. You have to lie to protect your religion.
But
Think about
you're
that.
saying-
You misunderstood, WITSIT. Let me hold on, Jim. Let me say one other thing. You misunderstood, and let me tell you something else about it. If they have a window that's based on previous, readings that they've done, so they kind of know where they're going to expect to get values, then inside that window, if they are getting 10 entries inside that window, it's the same thing because those 10 entries are going to give them the average mean that's going to be inside that
No,
window.
the window comes from the R value, not previous readings.
Yeah, previous readings that gave them an R value.
No, that's not what gave us the R value because
Well,
we
might have been over this.
we take dude, you have to listen, dude. They say that the radius value was a certain thing. Then they go out and they try to map the Earth being a ball. So what they do is they go measure distances. They try to get a number that is equivalent to the R value or close to it, so they can map out the terrain
Yeah, but we've already
speculatively.
addressed
No, this is
this.
all
You need-
objective, Scott.
Okay,
This is all
but you need
objective.
to remember
When
what
you
was already
people,
said.
when you
Hold on, listen.
yeah, exactly. That's all you can do is interrupt in line, straw man.
You need to listen. Remember what was already said about how Jim said they already had a fight about what the actual shape was, and they weren't sure. So there were no other things to go compare to. There was a time in which when they were doing geodetic surveying, they were doing it on first principles to get the original first results.
They never fought about the R value though.
They didn't know because they didn't know about an oblate spheroid or a perfect sphere. Or
Wait,
what.
does that change the R value?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so this okay. So what the original R value changed to whenever they decided it was oblate?
Well, it depends on where they're
Average.
standing, but it's going to have a different radius at different spots.
Okay, so what did it change to? What's the radius?
I mean, it
Yeah,
depends
yeah.
on where you're standing. Well, tell me a spot, and we'll go figure it out.
Okay,
Listen to
so
this.
whenever they change the R value is always like that, dude. So I'm saying,
It's
what
an
was the
average,
change
though,
from
it's
spherical to
an
oblate?
average.
What was the percentage change?
I don't
can
know.
tell you. I'll
Oh,
find
convenient. You guys don't know your religion again. So
listen, idiot. We haven't memorized that off the top of our heads. No, I can look it up for you if you really need to know it. But if you're just trying to, if you think
I do
you've
wanna know it,
scored if you think you've scored a YouTube point,
I did.
really didn't.
Because I know
Oh,
the
no,
answer, and you
James.
guys
Oh, no,
don't.
James.
I
And
know
we
the
should have
answer, and you
memorized.
guys don't.
We should have
I know the
memorized.
answer, and
What
you
do you
guys
mean?
don't.
What do you think it is? What do you think it is?
It's basically nothing.
Okay, so that's a really good answer with it.
Yeah, it's like
10%.
incredibly low. They didn't have to
Okay,
shift
okay,
the R
hold on.
value. What they
Hold
did
on.
was just try to map out an oblate. Yeah, exactly. Because they didn't even have to change the R value.
Wait,
They said
wait,
it
Of
was.
course they changed the R value, but they don't where they're scanning. Of course they do.
I have the data here. I have the data here from your debate. Okay.
Fuck the R value. No one gives a shit about your shitty R value. Okay, stuff it up your ass right
Look
now.
at
The
the-
R
Where
value.
do we get the radius from,
No one
Brummy?
gives
That's
a
what we're
fuck about your
discussing
R
now.
value.
This is your
Yeah,
monster you
because I just
created.
want to show you. This is the truth. They taught us that the R value was taken by Alberuni. Now you guys say that geodetic. First, Scott said we found out the R value by going to space. Then he said, okay, geodetic surveying, right? So then geodetic surveying is not how you found the R value, according to what they told me in school and everyone else that lives in America and every other country. So
That's really not
Can I
true.
see if I
Yes,
can?
it is true.
That's not
It's
true
not
at
true at
all.
all. It's not true
I
at all.
never
Yes,
heard
it
of
is true.
Alberuni. I'd never even heard of Alberuni.
yeah, because they don't
until
even
about-
teach you about the R value. They definitely didn't teach you that
No,
we
no,
discovered
okay.
the R
Contradicts what
value.
you just said.
But they didn't
Right.
teach. What my point is that they didn't teach you the R value by saying, "Look, we discovered the R value with geodetic surveying." That's not what your side says. That's not what the
They
story is.
confirmed it though with
Well, should they
160
just-
years of geodetic surveying
They,
in one
so they
area.
confirmed the R value, so they didn't change then.
No, it's
Are
an
you-
average. Let me just show you something. This is 3 images from your debate with the main surveyor, okay? And he spoke about a deviation that has to be, adhered to, right? And he did multiple measurements and gave his mean reading, okay?
Yeah,
You
but is
also had
WITSIT
three-
saying that outliers should
Hold
be
on.
included in that?
They can be, but when you do multiple tests throughout the same day, you can look at it. The top one shows 3 different surveys using the zenith angle to the sun and getting the radius values from each position. Okay? The second one shows you how the 2 total stations will never be perpendicular to each other. And then he said in that debate, in 20 years of his surveying, he's never had a perpendicular complete
never
planar
would.
surface between. And then on the bottom one, the prediction for the NGS that WITSIT spoke about is 15.
Okay, now can
So,
I respond to each one of them?
2.8 arc.
Thing. Let me
arc,
teach you guys about it then.
inch,
Okay.
Whatever. What is it? Degrees.
Yeah.
you know.
Let's go to the first picture first, okay? You take that zenith angle from the sun, right? So you're taking that angle down to the position of whatever you're observing over, let's just say, a few miles, whatever it is. Okay, you're going to take that observation numerous times. You're going to get numerous readings. Okay, and then you're going to take an average. So that's what we're discussing is where that angle comes down to, right? That's what's constantly fluctuating. If one of the readings is way outside the window, they dismiss it. Okay, now let's go to the second.
It's not dismissed. It's put aside for other averages.
It's thrown away and not put in the
It's
averages.
not thrown out. It's part of the offset. Like,
They don't actually factor it in. So then the second picture here,
it's always
okay?
factored in.
The second picture is he's saying, well, look, the
Why don't
plumb
y'all
line
get
is.
to an agreement on that point right there? He doesn't agree. It's not. That seems like worth debating right now.
What I'm saying is objective, though.
Well, you say everything that you think is true is objective.
Well,
You say
the guy
about
that does this for your
absolutely
side
everything
said
you
that.
say.
So, anyway, we'll go on to the second one. So he's like, and he said that in all of his years of surveying, he's never had a plumb line be 90 degrees. Well, you wouldn't expect this on a flat Earth. The plumb line is literally 90 degrees horizontal to the plane as it's assumed when it's set up for both sides. But when you look over vast distances of atmosphere, it's going to move just a little bit because you're looking over a ton of atmosphere, right? That's why it constantly moves. Even on your side, according to your side, it constantly moves. That's why we're getting an average. Now, every once in a while, it'll be way off. It won't work because of
Well, then
refraction.
There should be days. If it was flat, it should go the other way.
Right.
Well,
How is the atmosphere creating like the same result all the time?
Well, you have it converging away from you and changing size, right? And then you're just looking at a recording through lots of atmosphere, and it's going to move it around a little bit up. If you combine these two effects, then you're going to see it look like it's tilting away from you.
Does that seem reasonable to you? Does that
It's just
seem
objective.
Does that seem like it's not objective?
No,
Don't say it's
no,
objective because
no,
it's literally
yes, as a
bullshit that
witness-
you just made up.
As a witness,
Wait,
I
are
want
you
witness
saying they've
to say-
never
don't
ever
dare
had a
say it's
recording that
objective.
comes closer?
What? No, I didn't say anything. I didn't
of
say a
course.
single one of those words that you just said. I said.
Okay,
Not
so
a
they
single
have
one
had.
of them.
So they
Or
have
even
had.
anything remotely close to the meaning of
Y'all are
them.
freaking out. Can we agree that on a flat Earth you wouldn't expect it to see exactly 90 degrees?
Can we agree that what you just provided was a bullshit explanation that no serious, reasonable adult could consider serious?
What? Things change with angular size. Angular size changes with distance. It appears to converge towards the vanishing point. It's going further away from you. You have refractive effects fluctuating throughout the
these
day.
people are in error. These people are in error because of the atmosphere every single day, tens of thousands of times over in different atmospheric conditions.
That's why they have to throw out the outliers.
That's what's unreasonable, WITSIT. That's what I can't believe to be true.
No, they have to throw out the outliers.
They've all been making the same mistake for 250 years, thousands and thousands of times, but you've got it right.
Yeah, but
having
never
it's not
ever
made a measurement,
it's not like
having never ever made one of these measurements yourself.
Calm down. No,
you
it's
you
not
know
like,
how to do it properly.
No, listen,
and
it's
they've
not
all done it wrong.
Oh, calm
I
down,
don't.
man.
I don't think that's reasonable.
Okay, so you're being unreasonable because it's not. That's not unreasonable. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's not incompetence on their behalf when it comes to actually getting the angles, dude. Right? It's just the presupposition they go into the observations with that they know for a fact the Earth's a ball, dude.
It's incorrect. The way you're approaching this is just dead wrong.
Everything I'm saying is factual. All you say is nuh-uh, Scott.
I know that you think it's objective and factual.
You have no specificity. Dude, what are you talking about?
Just relax. Don't stop spiraling out. Let me finish what I'm saying.
No, you just do this just to piss me off.
Hold on. Just relax. Let me finish. So you're saying this stuff, and you think that you're this expert because you talked to me.
Here we go.
But you're misremembering. And let me tell you exactly what's wrong with what you just said. There's nothing in the description you just gave us for this error that you're describing. There's nothing in there that biases it in one direction only. That error can happen in any direction and will. And there's no way in which that these things are going to be called outliers if these things are measurements are happening is the norm. The only way in which they can throw these things away, the only way in which they are thrown away is if they're rare.
No, that's not true. The reason they throw them away is because they have the window. Do you know where the window comes from, Scott?
That's not true, though. I just told you that. So if it's
where's the window come from, Scott?
If it's an outlier, it has to be rare.
Where's the window come from, Scott? You don't know.
What? You don't know this. What percentage of them are outliers?
Actually, they don't even keep half the record of them under their own
admission. How do you know how many there are? How many?
Exactly. So how can you say that
you've been telling a positive claim saying that there's so many of them. There's a ton of them. But yet you don't know how many there are.
Yeah, because you can talk to them yourself.
Sean's trying to talk, and he's an actual surveyor. Can we get a professional?
Oh yeah, he's going to be really honest. Here we go.
Yeah. Relax.
No, I'm going to just keep. This is going to be very easy points. You keep saying they throw things out as if they don't use them. They keep them, and that is how we understand that refraction plays a part in surveying. That's how we understand those outliers that you keep bringing up. Those are all, they keep them all. They have to. Otherwise, when you make these regular measurements and you get some kind of offset that doesn't make sense, they have to have a reason for it. And those outliers that you keep saying they throw away, they use those to have an understanding of why an object will look higher than it does, will look lower than it does, or not seen at all. You keep saying these outliers are thrown away. They're not thrown away.
No, I said they're not accounted for.
No, you said they throw them out and they don't use them. They are very much so used to understand what we are seeing.
Okay.
You need those outliers. Otherwise, all you're saying is every survey is the exact same.
Where's the window come from then, Mr. Surveyor?
Say again?
Where does their window come from then?
The window comes from when they're going to get the best measurements and they're going to be the most accurate, so that those outliers you keep talking about aren't having to be configured every single survey.
No, I'm saying they come into the observation with a window. Where do they get that window from?
Past survey.
So geodetic surveyors, when they go in there with their window, it's because it can only fluctuate so much with the R value, dude.
What can only fluctuate?
No.
Yes, dude.
They literally, like you said, that window is when they understand, when they're going to get the best measurements, the most accurate measurements, and those outliers that they get, even when they do those, are still accounted for to understand why.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly in plain survey data, right? Are you talking about plain surveying though? Because
different surveys, how we can be accurate upon other surveys.
Yeah, but plain surveying is different than geodetic surveying, because geodetic
surveying, of what we're talking about, it's not.
Yeah, it is though, because geodetic surveying goes in there with a window. See, it's known that for like effective surveying, you have to do plane survey. You can't build using geodetic survey. Can I finish?
Listen,
you can't
Where
build.
did the window come from?
What you're saying, I'm correcting what you're saying. There's a window in plane
imagination,
surveying as well.
I think.
The R value is where it comes from.
Yeah. Well, there was 106 years of surveying. 106 years. And the,
Okay, so WITSIT's right in the
hold
end,
on,
right?
hold on. It was using rudimentary tools, and there was a deviation of decimal points inside that 106 years. Not a great discovery.
Yeah, dude, no shit.
It was 4 points decimals. Okay?
Dude, you know what we're measuring? We're measuring a degree change from 90 degrees.
It's chicken or the egg syndrome.
I just looked through a bunch of geodetic surveying manuals. Not one of them makes any mention of this window that you've been describing.
Okay, so they don't throw out certain readings that are too far off outside the window.
I guarantee you, they do it statistically. They do it using standard statistical outlines, analysis. So when things are too far out the standard deviation, that's when they'll throw them away.
Yeah, because they know that there's only a window that R value can fall within.
No, because that's how statistical sampling works.
No, they're trying to map the Earth out on a ball. You don't even understand the use case of geodetic surveying. They're trying to map the Earth out on a ball. So they're going to look at the real Earth, and then they're going to make measurements, which really are calculations. They're going to take the fluctuation of the supposed deviation from 9 degrees, even though it's just apparent.
Can you not say something dumb? Like, listen to what's being said. You don't have any idea what we're talking about.
Oh my
so
God.
If they take a bunch of readings, they get a mean for those readings, okay? They get a bunch of measurements, then they have a mean, okay? Now, some of those measurements they get are going to be far outside the mean. If they're too far out, i.e. 2 standard deviations is typically what's used, they're called outliers, and you don't include them because they indicate some sort of extremely rare event. Now, it can't be 2 standard deviations out if they're common, because then your mean wouldn't be where it was. It would be affecting the mean. So they are used to make the mean, and then they are tossed out after they turn out to be 2 standard deviations outside of it.
Okay, whenever they get a number way off, they just don't account for it. That's just according to main surveyor. So, like, he does this for a living.
That's what you do with outliers. That is sound statistical.
Yeah, anytime that it's like way too far back because of refraction, which refraction's always there. That's why it doesn't look 90 degrees. In fact, proof that it probably is 90 degrees is that it never is perceived to be 90 degrees. Because whenever you get one close to the R value, what are you talking about? That's just the refraction causing that to happen, dude.
Yeah, but again, you're in the situation where you're trying to draw a statistical conclusion from a handful of outlying statistics whilst ignoring many magnitudes more not outlying statistics.
Well, the outlining just falsifies your claim.
I don't see how you can reason away that you should be doing that.
Oh, okay, this is why. Because the outliners don't prove the Earth's flat. It just falsifies that it's a globe, right?
How does it?
Listen, because if it's on a flat Earth and it's
how many of them are errors? How many of them are actual errors?
If it's on a flat Earth, it's at 90 degrees, right? You would expect to see it close to that. And if there's least refraction, you'd see it closer to 90 degrees. This is exactly what we see, dude.
But would you agree that some of these outliers have to be errors?
Well, when the reason that they're all technically errors is because you're trying to equate it to an actual location when it's just apparent.
But some of them we would expect, if human beings are taking the measurements, to be errors, right?
Well, yeah, they assume the Earth's a ball. That's what geodetic surveying means.
Could you just answer the question?
They throw anything out too far away from the R value. It couldn't exist on a ball Earth.
Some of them, they should be thrown out because they are errors. Would you agree with that?
They're all errors because they're all apparent locations.
But you're saying, so they're all errors. So
none of them are actual locations. That's correct.
As long as you're agreeing that they're all errors.
Under their own admission, all of them are just approximations.
Yeah, Whitson, what's your last data that you know when the Earth have been measured?
What?
What is the last time when the humans have been measured at the Earth?
I've been waiting for a while to get
One second.
I've been waiting for about 10, 15 minutes.
Hey, just wait. Go next, okay? Go ahead, Dakotas.
Yeah, what's the last time when we have measured the Earth?
When was the last time we measured the Earth? Like people measure the Earth every day?
No. The circumference and everything on the Earth.
I don't think that they have actually measured the circumference, my man.
Oh, yes. Yes, we have been.
No.
Yes, we have been.
Okay, can you
So-
verify that they went across the South Pole to measure the circumference and came back up north, please?
You don't have to go to the South Pole. We have, for example, mate, 1 second. Yeah. For example, we have technologies that are very new right now. For example, you know about the VLBI.
VLPI. Let me enlighten me.
So the VLBI, it's a system of telescopes that are around the Earth, and it's measuring the wibbling of the Earth and rotations of the Earth. When we needed to send something into space, we were using the VLBI measurements to have the precise, how to explain it to you, to have the precise trajectories of the things that we sent into space. Yeah?
Okay.
So with the help of VLBI, we have measured the Earth with the errors of millimeters. So do you know about that?
I know that you're just claiming that satellites
I'm
are in
not
the
claiming.
in the sky. No, you are.
It's not satellite. It's not satellite. It's telescope on the Earth.
Oh, and they measure movement of the axial rotation.
No.
they move-
I'm
you
talking
said
about.
you said they measure wobble.
No. VLBI it's used. VLBI it's used for those things, but VLBI it can be used for measurements as well. So
What? The stars rotate over us. So what? Move on.
So
Can you be silent, please, man?
Okay, it has nothing to do with the wobble. Go ahead. It takes
Okay.
measurements.
With the VLBI, we have been able to measure the Earth. So, for example, in 2004, the measurements of Earth that have been started, in 2006 that have been finished by Dr. Axel Nottingel from University of Bonn, and all the measurements that you have it right now are in Google Earth. Do you know about that?
Okay, don't know about Google Earth? Yeah, of course. So you're
No.
telling me,
Do you know about the measurements? No. Do you know about the measurements? Do you know about the measurements that have been done by the people of the university? Do you know about that? Or
I know that they just map.
Or you just rambling around
No, I
bullshit
know
things.
yeah, you're about to get demolished, dude. I know for a fact that what they did, without even reading it, is that they actually map it out with a flat topographical map, and then they wrap it around a ball.
How can you possibly know that, you arrogant?
So finally you come with facts that you don't know about it.
No, I do know.
Well, from where? Can you
If they're taking measurements in small increments, and they're going to then project it onto a ball.
So fucking hell wrong.
No, it's not.
They have been used telescopes to measure everything on millimeters.
Oh, telescopes from the Earth looking into the sky measures the Earth. That's what you're saying?
You're not a truth seeker, WITSIT.
Well, what are you talking about?
Telescopes on the Earth looking at the sky measured the Earth. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, they all say that.
Okay, well, the dimensions came from looking at the angles to Polaris and then reverse engineering them on the assumption of a sphere.
Not to Polaris.
No.
You can't. You don't understand
You have to
what
interrupt
the
me.
things
No,
are
you have
working.
to interrupt me. I'm just going to talk over you if you keep interrupting me, dude. So,
Yes, I'm going to interrupt you.
this is my point, dude.
Why are you blathering on about something that
Let me make my you just are making assumptions about my point because y'all are fucking stupid. Y'all are always 10 steps behind me.
Take a look.
Hang on,
Take a look on the link, idiot. Take a look on the link.
Okay, I'm going to make my point and then show you how stupid you guys always are.
You've literally only just heard about this, WITSIT, for the first time.
Okay, I'm trying to make a point.
Shut up. Shut up, I'm speaking. How can you possibly pretend to know anything about it? And why do you think a room of 50 people should want to hear stuff that you are literally making up on the fly about it?
Okay, so if he conflated two different types of things, and then I'm stupid because your dumbass side can't even remember your stupid claims that y'all write down and get ready to come get Austin with, and he beats you down with them off the top every day. Anyway, first he said that it's up in, he said satellites are up. First he said satellites are up in space. First he said satellites are up in space and they measure the wobble. But then he said
telescopes, idiot,
I know,
not satellites.
that's what I'm saying. See, that's why you have to interrupt me. First you said something about something up in the air measuring the wobble, and then you're like, okay.
Not up in the air, telescopes on the Earth.
Okay.
Yes,
wow, guys, you have to keep fucking interrupting me, dude, because you're not going to demolish it. Dude. Shut up. Why do you get 10 people interrupting me if I'm so stupid?
Because you're not making
system. Because I'm not allowed to get more than 4 words out, dumbass.
Why don't you just say...
the most mic time of anybody.
Shut up.
I want to ask him a question.
Why don't you just say, I haven't heard of this, I'll look into it? You know?
Okay, now here I'm going to respond now. So way back in the day, one of the main ways that we came up with the supposed dimensions of a spherical Earth was by looking at the sky and taking Polaris angles. Now, I'm not saying that's what this does, you dumbasses that have to interrupt me. What I'm saying is that they reverse engineered the dimensions based on the sky. If you're telling me you're looking at the sky with a telescope on the Earth, assuming the Earth's a sphere, then mapping out what you see in the sky relative to where you are on the Earth, assuming it's a sphere, it doesn't measure the fact that the Earth's a sphere. That's dumb.
No one said it did, though.
That's what we were talking about. And he invoked it. Yeah.
No. It's dumb for you to just make up the method that they're using without even knowing the slightest thing about it.
He just said the telescope on Earth.
You are
Yes, the telescope on
So that means it's looking at the sky.
Man, you're really dumb. Take a look what I
I'm
have been
actually
posted.
far from dumb, buddy.
Let him talk.
Please, take a look what I have been posted. Can you open the link that I have been posted? Please. Well, when the scientists have figured it out,
Why can't you just answer my questions?
Take a look on the to have the same thing that we're talking about, and after that we're gonna argue to attack my points. But you cannot attack my points when you don't know what I'm talking about. The VLBI system.
Yeah, I'm on an iPad, so why can't you just answer my questions? Do they have a telescope on the Earth and they're looking at the sky, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
and so they're looking at the movement in the sky.
They have 70 telescopes worldwide, and they have been pointed to the same spot on the sky.
Right.
It had been a quasar. Or
right,
a quasar.
And then you take the
quasar,
angles.
1 second. No. So fucking hell, do you let me to talk or not?
Yeah, but it's just simple. I know what they do.
That's how we feel about you. That's why you get interrupted, but you don't like it, so don't do it.
Okay, I won't interrupt this guy if I'm allowed to respond to him without being interrupted.
Just be simple.
Okay. It's a deal. Go ahead, Decoders.
Yeah. So 70 telescopes that have been pointed in the same spot on the sky. Yeah. With the and that have been targeted a quasar. Yeah. After they have been pointed up the quasar, the telescopes that have been synchronized to send the data to a center, and after that they have been taking the measurements of the telescopes with the declination angle, and they have the measurements. It was easy, but in the meantime they wanted to see how much if they're heavy changing in data. So the alpha calculation, what they have it have been 2 or 3 millimeters. So we have the precision of calculating the Earth circumferences and how you call it, terrains, evaluation. Terrain things that are higher or lower with accuracy of millimeters. The data it have been bought by Google. Some of the data it have been bought by Google and used by them. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so yeah, it's long distance interferometry, right? And so they're looking at the same point in the sky and they're getting different angles from the telescope relative to their location. They're mapping it out. Yeah, according to their story that you just, I guess, think I should blindly believe, they found out that the Earth was a few millimeters smaller. And for example, this is how we know that a couple continents are moving away from each other at 18 meters per second or per year or whatever they say. So that's cool and all. Yeah, and I actually don't dispute that there may be some movement in the land. I actually find it to be hyperlogical relative to the spacing of one another. But again, when you look up at the same point and you take these angles, what you're doing is you're mapping that out on the already assumed ball, and you're just refining that R value because it was still off here and there. Okay, so like they're just updating it on the assumption. They're working out the model in more detail. The problem, it comes down to the base presupposition of when you look at the sky, are you going to reverse engineer these angles on a ball or on a flat Earth where you then have to account for perspective, vanishing point actually cutting off what you see, and not physical obstruction. Those are two different things. And if you go into it with the presupposition of a sphere, that doesn't prove it's a sphere, dude.
Dude, it's proving because it's a sphere. Because during the daytime, the telescopes that have been pointed to down. That was the main problem.
Say again?
So if you look in the same point in the sky and the Earth is rotating, the telescopes are gonna go in the rotation of down. So they have the down rotation.
They have a down rotation. So that's assuming that the Earth is moving and not that the sky is moving, though.
So it's rotating. The Earth is rotating.
No, the sky is moving over top of the Earth. That isn't moving.
How come you're gonna rotate on the flat Earth the sky to be on down?
Yeah, because the telescope is tracking a certain location in the sky.
And it's gonna be down.
It's moving away from them. Yeah.
Down.
Yeah, away from them in the distance.
Down.
At an angle.
Do you know
Down
what is
what?
down?
Okay, so yeah, we know what the stars look like, dude. Okay, it's well known and established that either the stars are moving or the Earth is moving.
In your flattered fantasy, down. When you point something and the telescope is going down, or whatever you're gonna point, and it's going down to the Earth, yeah, for a measurement, you assume because the sky it have been turn it around.
It follows the stars in the sky. The Earth doesn't make it magically move on its own. It actually
rotating.
tracks the stars.
It's rotating, man.
No, it tracks the stars.
Stars.
I just read it. It tracks the stars using long-distance interferometry.
Yes,
What are you talking about?
Man, so in your point of view, yeah, because you have been explaining it for us what's happened, and they have been figured it out to remeasure the R value, what you are saying there. So you think, because if a telescope is down, pointing a quasar in the sky, because all the telescopes they have it at the same quasar, yeah, link it to the same quasar, and the telescopes that have when they have it during the day, they're having on the down position. And in your explanation, you tell me because they going to the perspective. What perspective? If it have been on the perspective, they haven't been to the right to the exactly to the level of the Earth.
Yeah. So again, the dimensions of the supposed sphere were actually reverse engineered based on angles of lights in the sky. What these do, right? It's the same as the equatorial mount. Whenever people say that proves the Earth's a ball, which is retarded, because what it does is it stays on the Earth. It doesn't just stay on the Earth and then move by itself because the Earth is moving. It tracks the stars. It moves and tracks the stars. According to your religion, it's in the same frame of reference as the Earth. You wouldn't see a detection of axial rotation itself, but once it tracks, it just coincides with the axial rotation that we can't feel, but we know is going on. Okay, but according to a flat Earth, what it's doing is it's actually tracking the movement of the sky, which is what it literally does.
An EQ mount can't work on a flat Earth.
I just explained how it can.
You claimed it did. You didn't explain how it does.
Yeah, it tracks the stars,
Hang on,
dude, till they
Brando.
converge
Hang
into
on,
the
Brando.
horizon.
Go ahead, Dakotas. Hang on, Brandon.
So
go ahead.
Your point of view is very bullshit. So I'm looking down, yeah, on the quasar. Down, fucking hell. It's how to explain it to you? 90 degrees down, yeah, perpendicular to the Earth. And you told me because I'm pointing a star somewhere. What the fuck are you talking about there, man? It's a quasar that is pointed, that is linked to that quasar, and the telescope is down 90 degrees to the ground. What's so hard to understand because the Earth is rotating?
So you're saying that you're not understanding that your model claims that the telescope isn't detecting axial rotation, dude.
No, man, it's linked to the point in the sky.
Exactly, dude. You're looking at the sky, assuming the Earth's moving. Holy shit, you people are dense.
In the sky during the day is changing fucking hell because the Earth is rotating and the telescope is following
No,
the
it's because the
point.
sky moves.
Okay, whatever, the sky moves, but it's not gonna move to more than 180 degrees if you want to go to the perspective.
Oh yeah, the sky moves over top of us in a clock, in a cycle.
Yeah, but he's saying that the telescope is pointed down to the ground.
I know that because it tracks it to its convergence into the horizon. Then it comes back up on the other side. Oh, the Earth's a ball.
But that doesn't make sense. That doesn't work.
Thank you.
Don't
What you're saying doesn't make sense. It's convergence on the horizon. Otherwise, it wouldn't keep going down. It would be just stuck there.
No, it does. Eventually, you can't see it anymore. You people are wildly
But you would be decreasing the way in which you're angling your telescope until you hit a limit of not moving anymore. You wouldn't go all the way around the bottom.
That's what you guys do. Once it goes on to the horizon, you're right. A logical person wouldn't go down to the bottom. But what you do is, listen, what your side does is when you can't interrupt me because you know I'm excited.
Why does it rise?
You're literally making shit up as you go. It's transparent with you.
Okay, so what your side does is it looks at the stars.
Sneering, giggling thing.
I'm sorry, dude. It's just funny.
Have I got to remind you, you're a dumbass that believed all that stupid shit on the internet again, like I did last night.
So, dude, you what your side does is it looks at the stars, so you can't see
There's
it
not a side. There's not
and
a
then
side.
it starts pointing at the ground, bro.
You're supposed
It's tracking it all the way around. I don't know why you think that's so goofy.
It's just
Here's the problem.
assuming
Here's the
that's
problem
what's
with it.
happening.
You stopped looking for any kind of answer so long ago. You're so sure that you're right that you don't actually do research. You don't actually.
No, I
learn.
know all about the
You don't
equatorial
know
mount,
about any of
dude.
this stuff. You get it wrong. Everything you say, you don't get any of the words right. And then because you have no other recourse, you have to pretend to be in the right, and so you just make noise and start laughing.
No, objectively, what your side of this argument does is they see the stars disappear, and then they just point the telescope at the
But I
ground.
told you that there's going to be a limit there, and if it goes all the way down, it's because it has to track the stars that way. You can't do that. If
Once it disappears, it assumes that it keeps going because the Earth's spinning. It assumes that.
No, it doesn't assume that. It has to do that if and only if it's actually going down there.
No, it just, dude, you're so
I'm sorry, but
lost.
that's true.
The dimension claim, which you're claiming a physical obstruction occurs due to axial rotation.
Of course it does.
Okay, so
That's
you're claiming a
objective,
physical
that's
obstruction of the sphere edge, the tangent point,
that's
blocks
objective.
the sky because the Earth is spinning. Okay,
Yeah, but
now
that's
this
like-
this dimensions claim for that physical sphere edge came from actually looking at this cycle in the sky many years ago.
What are you talking
So
about?
now
Anyway,
what
the
you
point
do
is
is you
they won't
track the stars, and as they disappear,
track
you
the star
assume
all
that
the way
there's a
around.
ball, you point it at the ground,
What?
and then you track it back on the other side.
Yeah, but that's not what's happening. I've just explained it to you. Do you not understand what's being said?
That is what's happening.
No, it isn't. I just explained it to you. You didn't understand it.
You just said it's pointing at the ground, Scott.
I know, but I did say more than that too, didn't I? What else did I say?
It's supposedly going to track it back around to the other
So
side.
what else did I say? What did I say about what it can't do?
You said it can't just disappear in the distance?
I said if it's going to disappear in the distance, if it's converging onto a vanishing point, then the telescope is going to approach a limit of stopping.
No, they're
Exactly.
moving. You realize that they're moving away from you, right? And eventually it gets to where it goes into what we would call the
stars are moving away from us
horizon.
now?
Okay, so whenever it seems
Why
to
is it
disappear, like
moving
this,
away from us?
the sky moves over top of us.
Yeah, it rotates, but now it's moving away from us.
No, it's just rotating. Yeah, rotating away from you.
And rotating away or moving away.
If there's a star right above you and it's rotating, it's going to start moving away from you. Jeez, Louise. Dude, you guys this dense, dude.
No, it doesn't.
If it's rotating though, how could it rotate at a fixed rate, but and then it's moving at a fixed rate, right?
I never made that
we
claim.
see, and the way that it moves across the horizon is as it gets further away, it's still moving at the same rate. That's not like any other object in the sky, right? Like an airplane, when it's directly overhead, it's moving very quickly in terms of angles per second or angles per minute, right? But then as it gets further and further away, it slows and slows and slows to where once it's further away from you, you barely see any angle change over time, right?
Yeah, and
But why doesn't anything in the sky move that way? Why does it all move at this fixed rate, no matter how close to the
Because
horizon
the
it
sky's
is?
a clock that resets over top of us, and you just assume when you can't see them anymore, it's because of
okay,
sphere.
you understand?
You
There's
guys
no.
are scared of. I'm gonna get out of here. You guys are scared of the real conversation. If I was a stupid flat earther, listen. Let me say this. If I was a stupid flat earther, you wouldn't have to be such a dumbass and lie about every point. This is objectively what you have to say. No one gives a fuck if you want to lie about it or not.
Hold on, let Winston finish, guys.
The sphere edge is
going.
the sphere edge is supposedly blocking the sky. When we can't see the stars in the sky anymore, it's because the Earth's sphere edge blocked it. Now, if that's not the case, the stars move over top of us. You can't see them when they get too far away. You point the dumbass telescope at the ground, assuming the Earth's a ball spinning, and think that it makes it true. That doesn't. It's stupid.
That's not how it works, WITSIT. You're being dumb again.
That is how it works.
Yeah, no, we told you
Look,
differently.
Some questions, WITSIT, for
Look, guys, right there's where another disagreement happens. Why don't you guys get along and somebody figure out who's right? No, seriously.
All right, let Ranty get in, please, Don, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of questions basically from the Globebusters show, because I don't know whether WITSIT knew he was on the same debate as I was, but there's just a couple of questions there.
Get out of the Gamma.
They moved it to this little bitty channel. Do you know what channel that was?
Yeah, it's like 6,000 subs.
And how many subs do you have?
Well, I've been censored.
How many subs do you have?
Like around that much. I've been censored.
Yeah, this has 7,100. You have 5,000.
Yeah, it's propped up with algorithms. I've been censored. You wouldn't put it on the main channels, though. Continue.
So it's not a
you got
little bitty channel, then, is it?
What?
Okay. You also said that the left side is a black swan. You can see the windmill and the mountain to the base. You then repeat yourself and you say you can see the mountain to the base.
Mm-hmm.
Did you miss the point where I actually went through that with you?
That there's a little bit of elevation difference as you lead up to a mountain, and you think that's Earth curvature?
Did you miss the point where I actually showed you and demonstrated there was 180 meters missing of that mountain?
Because the elevation, did you map out the difference in elevation from the shore up to the base?
Yeah, the problem is you claimed, you made a
you skipped past
claim.
it.
You
Shocker.
made a claim.
Why'd you come in here? You just got his medal.
You made a claim that you can see the mountain to the base. You said you can see the mountain to the base on Globebusters to Bob. Bob lapped it up, but you didn't present that on the show. I showed you there was 180 meters missing. You didn't discuss that. You never showed any proof of that. You just made a claim. I want you to actually substantiate that and back it up.
Okay, yeah, you can see to the base of the mountain except for a little bit obstructed on the bottom, which is, of course, because there is an elevation difference as it leads up to the mountain, like every other mountain in the history of the world.
Can you provide an image of your calculations for that, please?
Can you provide the calculations where you show me that?
No, you've just made another.
You just say there's 180 feet there, right? You just said that.
Demo what you mean for
How
do you know you can see the bottom of the mountain, Witsit?
Because look, I mean, he's saying that the entire bottom of the mountain is hidden by all this feet of curvature, and then you move over to the left, and you can see way more of the mountain below it.
That's what I'm talking about. The left-hand side where you claimed you can see right down to the bottom. I want your calculations and visuals for that, please.
Wait, can you see further to the left of the picture than to where you cropped it off? Can you see further down the mountain? Yes or no?
That doesn't make it the bottom of the mountain.
Hey, Ranty, why does he need help, dumbasses?
You know why? It was my question.
Well, then shut up. I'm talking to him. Hey, Ranty, answer the question.
I'll answer the question. The simple fact is that mountain is nearer than the mountains behind Blackpool.
Okay, so it doesn't matter, right? Because there's still curvature in front of that.
Because there will be more missing from the mountains behind Blackpool than there will be the ones from the left-hand side, which are closer.
But there's still curvature missing, right? Because you claim that at the city landscape...
No, you claim... Let's stay on track. The question is very simple. You made a bold claim on Globebusters that you can see to the mountain base. You can see it all the way down to the base. I want you to provide your calculations for that, seeing as you were so assertive on it on Globebusters, whilst you were simultaneously slagging me off and saying that I ran to the Globers for money and because I was getting shit from the flat earthers. So your claims, I want you to now back up. I want you... Yeah,
sorry, you're in your feelings because you're a gamer.
Hold on. I want you to back up now your claim that you can see down to the bottom of that mountain. Go.
Okay, so I will go do the math because the math that needs to be done specifically, in addition, that you haven't done yet.
Right, you will do it.
Why are you interrupting me, Ranty? I think you actually interrupted me there.
I'm just confirming that
I think you actually interrupted me there. So what you have to go do is go see what's the elevation difference in terrain from that shore up to the base of that mountain, because it's obvious the terrain itself is going up. Now that's not earth curvature. It's the terrain itself. Now I will go do that because I would love to just dismantle you again. But I'm asking you a question now. So whenever you look at the city landscape and you claim that it's earth curvature obstructing the bottom of the mountain, and then I look to the left, do you agree you can see more of that mountain than you can to the right?
Clearly, because it's nearer.
Okay, now would the curvature not still be obstructing it?
The clear area is it's actually a squared function. So the further you go, it's going to be, if you go 20 kilometers further, it's going to have a greater effect on it. So whereas 350 meters might be the one what's hidden behind the Tower of Blackpool, but when there's 180 meters missing from the left-hand side, that's absolutely proportional to what you'd expect to see on a globe.
So according to your stance here, you're saying that over the city landscape, there's curvature. And then when you get to the left, it flattens out some.
No, my claim is that you made a claim on Globebusters that you can see to the base of the mountain.
You just keep looping that because you're getting dismantled.
I showed evidence, absolute evidence, on both the left-hand side and behind the tower that there is drastic amounts of that mountain missing.
How much is supposed to be missing according to the Earth's curvature?
And was able to prove it. You claim that you can see to the base of the mountain. I want you to
I already said I would. Now that's all you got. So, hey,
when will you
how
provide
much of the Earth?
When will
it won't take long. I'll do it sometime. I'm moving today.
When?
You're scared.
As soon as he's asked Riley to do it for him.
By weekend, yeah?
Sure.
By weekend, right? Sure.
Sure.
Perfect. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Do you want to put me on one of the channels with tens of thousands of people and I'll come on there with the presentation and just completely obliterate you, or you want to keep trying to hide it off?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Bring it on.
Perfect. All right. I knew that if I called you out, you'd have to say yes. So here's the problem, bro. And I want you to think about this before next weekend when I demolish you, okay? I want you to understand. You're claiming that there's earth curvature, blocking in the picture to the right. When you go to the left, you can see that mountain again, bro. Way more of it objectively, whether you want to say some of it's hidden or not, way more of it than you can to the right. But of course, if the Earth is curving, it's going to be curving over that way too, because it's the curvature, it's a tangent point. Now, it did not change in the same picture, and you haven't done the math in the terrain difference, and you also haven't answered what amount should be missing according to the Earth curve calculator. In addition, the entire debate, and I don't know if you might want to backpedal right now because you still won't be able to answer this question, where's the geometric horizon in the picture?
Oh, God. Fucking retarded Nathan Oakley. Aren't you ashamed that you can't formulate your own thoughts?
I just formulated 4.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Crickets.
You got 3 that you'd borrowed half off Anthony Riley, and 1 that you'd got completely.
Dude, I don't even watch other people, dude. I'm really busy. Like, I went to Ranty's debates, not even really having looked into what other people say about it. Jim, I literally didn't even know about the picture.
You were so
2
full
weeks
of
after.
Anthony Riley nonsense.
I didn't even know that Ranty had flipped for a long time. Dude, this is the honest truth.
You know what? You know when people said you were being coached, I defended you, WITSIT.
Because you know I'm not being coached. You know I come in here every day and don't need to be coached.
More and more. I see it more and more.
Okay, so I honestly had not even really looked into all of the arguments from the flat earth or even Ranty's. I tried to watch Ranty's presentation and speed it up, right? And then the debate he had with Brian's Logic was like 5 hours, and I was super busy. I was literally moving around, constantly doing shit. So that's actually what happened. I woke up Saturday like, oh shit. So that's what happened. I'm honestly critiquing the image with critical thought, dude.
No.
Another fucking lie.
You're critiquing the image with what Nathan Oakley and Quantum Erasure and Anthony Riley told you to say.
Is that what he told us to say? So I guess we're in agreement then that you can see way more of the mountain to the left. But so because me being an honest viewer here, this is what I see. You cropped out a part of the picture. I'm saying if I was a third party viewer.
I cropped out, right? Okay, so it wasn't on Twitter. The guy didn't do it himself.
Or whatever.
Right, okay.
You conveniently took the
I
cropped
did.
out version, not the.
I did.
I got the full picture on his Twitter too, though, Ranty.
Dude, the left-hand side has no flat Earth proof. It's completely irrelevant. It's a total red herring. You can't see down to the bottom of it. It absolutely conforms to the globe mathematics. It's just far easier to analyze the middle part of it, where you can see everything much clearer.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't comply to the globe mathematics.
Comprehension. Yes, it does.
Okay, then how much curvature should be obstructing the mountain there?
Calculation for you.
So how much should be?
I literally did it. Oh, do you want me to hand over all my calculations, or are you actually going to do any of this research yourself?
Yeah, I'm sure. Hand them over. Because I know you didn't account for the terrain difference from the shore to the mountain. I know for a fact you didn't.
Everything was accounted for.
Did you account for the terrain difference from the shore to the mountain?
Everything was accounted for.
Okay, so what's the terrain difference?
Everything was accounted. Go and watch the presentations.
What's the difference in the terrain?
Any of the numerous images that I've posted with all of the calculations on it. It's already been done, WITSIT.
Okay, but if there's Earth curvature obstructing view, right? And then you're like, look how much of the mountains are missing. And I look right to the left, and you can see way more of the mountains further back.
Because it's nearer, you idiot.
I understand that. So what was the terrain difference from the shore to the base of the mountain? This should be the first honest. You agree? That should be like the first honest question you ask, right?
Dude, I mean, literally, you've told me you're going to go away and get calculations, right? Fair enough. I already spanked your ass this weekend. But one last question. You said CC and other female asking you questions. Can you just clarify what questions they asked you?
Yeah, she jumped in asking me questions about like, where do I have the math for this or for that, or can you explain how it works with this or that? Dude, she's not debating.
She asked you to clarify what I'd been asking all debate, and you were obfuscating the point from.
No.
So she did what she did as a moderator to step in and say, hey, look, we need to get this straight. Ranty's asked you questions. Have you got this? Have you done that? Have you done this? And then you put it on her as if she was debating, and then you made a claim on Globebusters like she was jumping in to help me out.
She did.
Along with Conspiracy Cats. Absolute bollocks.
They both were obviously biased towards you. They both were putting comments up that were attacking.
One time to just get clarity whether you'd actually brought anything at all, which you hadn't. And Conspiracy Cats stayed out of it completely.
Okay, so he was putting up comments that were bashing me the entire time, and then they both interrupted for your behalf, and then they kicked me off, left you on, and did your little victory lap. He then constantly gave you time in between my response so you can make sure you were ready to respond, right? So to pretend that there was no bias in that, I'll leave that up to the audience. Everyone knows that there was bias. It doesn't matter. The bias didn't change anything. I'm just saying that was a biased platform, and we both know it.
No bias whatsoever. I didn't get any more time than you. You actually got far more time than I did to answer all your questions and all your points. You also, Conspiracy Cats never asked you a single question, and the only time that the lady intervened was to just hold your toes to the fire to find out, to ask you questions that I had been asking and you had been refusing to ask.
Dude, Conspiracy Cats read the super chats off, like saying things like, yeah, you should have brought that, Austin. Yeah, you should have done that. Like just being a little gamma. Yeah, it was. I'm not arguing this. Everyone that's honest knows it was biased, dude.
No, hold on. He just read the super chats out at the end of the
No,
stream
he put comments on during the whole debate that were bashing me, Ranty.
And
it's still on the recording, you moron.
And
okay, so to say that platform wasn't biased is a joke.
How is that going to affect the debate?
No, I didn't say it was. I said that it was a biased platform. I said it didn't really affect the debate.
You didn't say that. You said Conspiracy Cats and the female was asking you questions. That's an outright lie.
The female jumped in and asked me questions when you were on the spot. You were on the spot. You couldned answer. And then
asked you to clarify questions that
when you were on the spot and you didn't have an answer.
No,
she jumped in to save you.
I answered questions that you asked me. You refused to answer anything that I asked you. You didn't bring any calculations, and she was just making it plainly clear to the whole audience that you brought fuck all to the debate.
Yeah, I literally didn't bring anything.
I know you didn't. But
Yeah,
you brought a load of lies to Glowbusters. You brought a load of lies to Glowbusters when you said that the left-hand side is a black swan and you can see to the base of the mountains, and they chopped it off. Utter bollocks. The guy that actually did the photo chopped it off.
Not on his Twitter.
You actually go on to Glowbusters. You actually tell the truth for a change.
Well, okay. All I did was tell the truth. So looks like you're really obsessed with Glowbusters. It must have really hurt your feelings that the stupid flat earthers don't
Absolutely
like
has pure proof that the Earth is a globe, and you're hiding that from your subscribers. And I'm not going to fucking stop. I'm not going to stop until all your subscribers know that you lot are hiding this from your audience and keeping them in this shithole of a fucking flat Earth.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you, man. I really hope that you try to hone in on me because I will empty the full clip. See, what I do is I sit back and I wait for people to say my name and specifically try to come at me. But then I will expose the shit out of you, Ranty. You will definitely regret it. I encourage you to do it. We've already agreed to have a second debate. I'll bring the images and break down all the math for the viewers, okay? So you can get demolished live. But you can also, only if it's on a bigger channel.
All talk.
Okay, only if it's on a bigger channel, because whenever you first debated another X flat Earth or demolishes flat Earth, or you put it on a big channel, but it seems like whenever I'm there, you don't want to put it on a big channel. I'll bring the evidence and the calculations, get it on a big channel, stop being scared, and how about we just have one moderator? We don't need two moderators. We don't need two moderators that are both on your side, and we don't need them to jump in, right? All they have to do is moderate the time. They don't have to, and in fact, we should have an open discussion period. Not where, give Ranty a bunch of time to act like he's answering, but he just obfuscates for 10 minutes. No, you answer live. So we'll have a live interaction period after you give all your presentations and I rebut them, and there's one moderator and it's on a bigger channel. That sounds a little more fair.
Hold on, you kind of turning this on to me like I didn't answer any questions and I didn't do this. It was you. You were the word salad guy. I brought the evidence, I brought the truth, and you just word saladed the whole time. And then
Can you agree to the parameters or not?
Don't do it, don't you act like I acted.
Can you agree to the parameters or not?
The parameters of what? That you're actually going to answer questions and bring evidence.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's only one moderator.
Like I will do.
There's only one moderator.
Sure.
We have our times to talk or whatever, but then we have an open discussion period where it's back and forth live.
What? Open so you can talk about the. Do you know how many times you said the horizon? The geometric.
Hey, are you scared
horizon.
to have a?
Do you know how many
doing
times
it right now?
that?
Why can't you do it on camera? And also you have to show your face, Ranty.
Yeah, I might need some of that Dr. Nemesis.
It's a disadvantage for me to have to be examined live and then just get literally just bombarded with insults about my body language. Apparently, I'm reading the chat on my phone means I'm cheating, and you're just sitting behind your camera.
What's that got to do with anything?
Just show your face live so we can read your body language when you're getting nervous and lying, and we'll have a live interaction. If you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to hide.
Ranty, wasn't the reason that you did it on the channel because you didn't want to do it on Conspiracy Cats channel?
Yeah, because because agree to disagree has a format, and they always stick to the format, which is like you get 7 or 8 minutes or 10 minutes on one side and then another, and they always stick to those rules. So you have to stay by the rules. And knowing WITSIT, because he can't keep his gob shut and he's always interrupting and he's always being a little gamma. So it's a case of, did we want to do it on Conspiracy Cats where we don't have that ability to shut him up? Or is he just going to go on there and just make an ass of himself? Luckily, funnily enough, he actually, behaved reasonably well. So, but he didn't bring any evidence.
Every debate I've ever been in, dude, I don't interrupt people. You can look at any debate I've been in. The only time I start interrupting is whenever I'm being interrupted and the mod's not saying anything over and over. And here I interrupt people at times, but I've been interrupted for about 20 minutes at that point by 10 people. So anyone so stop pretending I do it all the time. Put it on a big channel. If I'm so stupid, if I'm a prominent name in the flat earth and I'm a globebuster, this is a perfect opportunity to get rid of the nonsense that is flat earth, right? Get it on as biggest channel as you can, bro.
How are you a prominent name? You said they moved it to a little bitty channel with 7,000 subscribers.
But yeah, you're real hung up on the fact that I'm on Globebusters, though, huh?
Yeah, but you said, hey, listen, you think you're a big name.
No, I don't. I don't even care. I'm saying you're obsessed with the fact I'm a Globebuster. You keep bringing it up. You keep on basically bringing them up into it, okay, because I'm on the show. So whatever. This should be a great opportunity for you. Do you agree Globebusters is one of the biggest flat earth shows?
To be honest, I don't expect that you're going to bring anything. I think what we should do is let you provide your evidence, and if you've got some semblance of an argument, we'll have a debate. How's about that?
No, what we'll do is we'll save the evidence for the debate, and then we'll see if you can respond live. You have to be on camera.
But you have to bring evidence. You have to bring evidence, though. You can't just bring a one single image and say I've brought evidence. I mean, you have to have calculations. You have to prove that you can see all the way down to the base of the mountain, right? All the way down.
That's not what I have to prove.
That's what you said. That's what you claimed on Globebusters.
We're gonna debate the same thing. Only I'm gonna bring something to show the audience.
You claimed that you could see all the way down to the base of the mountain.
Yeah, you can see the base of the mountains, but there's a little bit obstructed by the terrain, to be expected with every mountain base shot you ever get ever.
Let's get words meaning words here. What would you class as the base? What sort of elevation, or how much? How big's the base?
I haven't looked into all the intricacies of this stuff yet, man.
The base about 180 meters. Would that be about the base of it, seen all the way down to the base? 180 meters.
180 meters.
Yeah, because that's the amount that's missing.
Okay, but what's the terrain difference?
Yeah, but what I mean is that what you're going to claim? Well, when I said the base, I meant down to 180 meters.
So there's 180 meters of Earth curvature missing?
There is 180 meters of the mountain missing.
And that's exactly how much is supposed to be missing with the Earth curve math?
Yes, it is.
So there's no refraction at all in this image. It's a perfect geometric horizon. Then why would we not map it out?
Where's the flat, my friend?
Do what?
Where is the flat? And you're missing this. You are missing this. You're trying to reverse it into is it a flat Earth or is it a globe Earth? You forget the very premise about this entire image when it was first put out. The first video that was put out was, this is not a flat Earth image and cannot work on a flat plane. It wasn't even mentioned about it being a globe.
Yeah, but to make the claim that it's impossible on a flat Earth, right? You're going to have to account for all the variables. You didn't even account for refraction, dude.
Conspiracy Cats, when he first put this image out on the end of one of his original videos, it was one of his videos, and I did a little part on it. He said, join us on Saturday when we talk about this image, and we prove categorically it cannot happen on a flat plane. Then we did the 1 hour presentation, myself, Ruhif, and Conspiracy Cats, where we said, this cannot happen on a flat plane. We never discussed curvature. It's you guys that actually brought up curvature.
Yeah, that's the whole discussion. Are you scared to talk about that?
The whole discussion was this cannot happen on a flat plane. Now,
that's about whether or not it's curving.
Even if you admit that 180 meters is missing on the left-hand side, that isn't proof of a flat plane, is it?
Okay, so you're missing a ton of curvature. And
not curvature.
When you make the claim that something
the mountain,
is categorically,
the bottom half of the mountain is missing.
When you say that something's categorically impossible on a flat Earth, right? You're going to have to show how that's possible. Then you did paper trig without accounting for the depths of the angles, and you did not, listen, even count for refraction. You pretended it wasn't there at all. So to pretend that you actually accurately represented a flat plane observation and to be able to stake the claim of impossibility, you're obviously not genuinely a glober.
I asked you to bring your proof of refraction on a flat plane. You said you didn't have any calculations. You wanted me to
Are
do
you
it
saying
on the
that there
globe.
isn't refraction on a flat plane?
Hold on. Then you wanted me to do it on the globe, which I obliged you with. And then you tried to reverse it back on me and say, look how he's trying to apply globe refraction on a plane.
No. See,
and
what
I'm like,
happened was,
yes, you did. Yes, you did.
But no, that's not.
Yes,
that wasn't
you
mine.
did.
You think that was my intentions, Renty?
I don't care what your intentions.
Okay, well, let's explain what actually happened then. So you were explaining to the audience how this was impossible on a flat Earth. Then you showed us trigonometry, dude.
You brought no.
Why are you interrupting, dude?
You brought no refraction calculator for the flat plane.
Are you done
Nothing
interrupting yet?
At all. And when I actually did do the calculations with refraction on a globe, guess what? It didn't make a blind bit of fucking difference.
Okay.
All right, let him finish.
All right. So what you were doing is you were showing the audience how it was supposedly impossible on a flat Earth, and then you brought out the trigonometry, showing how this couldn't work because of the angles. This wouldn't work. Now, you didn't have any depths in the angles. You just had the angles, just on like paper flat trig. No depth of angles.
What do you mean depth? What do you mean depth?
Well, the angled where exactly how far your view goes is relative to how far away something is. So not every aspect of that mountain is at the same distance.
That gets formulated in trigonometry. You do realize that it is a depth calculator too.
Yeah. Did you account for all the differential in depth?
You do understand that trigonometry accounts for that, right?
Basic trigonometry, how does it count? Does it has a specifics to that mountains and your random equation? That's what you're telling me?
No.
It doesn't matter where.
No, it doesn't. I know it doesn't.
Listen
and in addition to that, no, listen.
No, he's having a go at you, not me.
Okay, whatever. Here's the deal. Here's the problem. This is what actually happened because I want to account. I want to address your lie. I'm trying to. I know he's not backing me up, dude. Shut up. The whole room's against me every time. So the point is
because you don't understand the base argument.
You
don't understand that the angles are literally the only thing that matters, and that's what they're talking about when they're saying the size of the mountain
shut up
is
now?
smaller.
Thank you. So all you looked at was trigonometry, and you were showing us how it was possible on a flat Earth. And then I said, okay, did you account for refraction? And you dragged your feet. I wasn't saying did you account for it on a globe. I'm saying you're showing how it's supposedly impossible on a flat Earth. Then you show us trigonometry, and I said, okay. So with these angles, did you account for refraction? You didn't on a flat Earth. You didn't on a flat Earth. You didn't on a flat Earth. So you didn't account for one of the most important variables when perceiving things through a distance of atmosphere. You didn't even account for it at all. And then whenever pressed for it, you went over there and you brought up the globe, and I was shocked. Like, wait, bro, like. Yeah, but this is not applicable to you showing us how it's impossible on a flat Earth using flat Earth trigonometry because this is using an R value assuming sphericity. And then you said that I intentionally set it up to make it look like that. What a loser.
So depth of angle, right, is accounted for in the trigonometry. So do you retract that statement then that I didn't account for depth of angle?
Is it like a generalized depth of angle though? Because isn't it changing relative to the mountain? So how do you account for it?
Sorry, I'm just laughing at all the memes here for depth of angle because you clearly don't understand the trigonometry account.
You have to have the altitudes all throughout the mountain to get the accurate depths, right?
Hello. Yes, and if you also saw during the presentation, I also showed you a whole bunch of evidence to back that up too. But you
right, okay,
clearly didn't understand it.
Okay, and then my response to the trigonometry.
Orthographic view. Trigonometry assumes orthographic representation. It doesn't account for the fraction limit.
It does not.
Oh, wait, okay, wait, real fast. Okay, so we'll talk about the trig during the debate unless you get scared. And then, in addition to that,
no, let's talk about your depth of angle so that I want you to. Trig.
Well, I'll look into the depths of it myself. I'll actually do all the math myself.
You talk about depths of angle so that I can bring up trig. It's hilarious.
Okay.
You don't think that they're the same thing.
Okay, cool, man. So then I'm assuming you're not gonna account for a fraction. Now you're saying I have to do it. I have to account for a fraction on a flat Earth to show that it's possible.
That you have.
So I can just make up any equation I want to and say this is the refractive effect. This is what the globe Earth does, and I can actually fluctuate the size.
Said you could just make up anything.
Well, that's what your side does.
You're kidding.
No, 7/6R. It fluctuates the actual dimensions itself just to give a general area, and it says, oh, this is a terrestrial refraction, standard refraction. It literally just makes shit up. Literally, it uses the R value to make it up.
So let's just clarify it. So the only evidence you're going to bring is some made-up bullshit about how the light propagates through the atmosphere to make it look as if those mountains are lower than the tower, when in reality they are higher.
Yeah, I'm not going to say every single thing I'm going to say in the debate, Ranty. I know you think I'm going to, but I'm not. I think you're scared to do another debate when I actually bring something to show the audience. You get demolished.
You just literally told us that you're going to make something up.
Okay, yeah, there you go. That's all I'm going to come up with. I'm going to make something up, Ranty. You should be able to decapitate me. You want to put it on a big channel?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know.
Let's put it on the biggest channel.
Which is?
I don't know. You want me to reach out and see how I could probably get us on in front of like a few 100,000 subs? You want to do that?
We'll see what happens. You know, let's bring it.
Are you scared of a few 100,000 subs? I'm stupid.
Let's get you on Simon Dunn's. How's that? That's probably the biggest channel out there.
What? How many subs do you have?
Close to 500,000.
100,000. Okay, yeah. And I'll look. I think
no. 420.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. I know I very find it hard to believe. I know he won't be live on camera moderating, so I'm assuming someone else will do it on his channel for him. He can only read scripts and stutter.
Who cares? It just says you.
Well, yeah, he did a hit piece on me, and he did a hit piece on me freestyle rambling on the couch from months and months ago. He wrote an entire script, didn't respond with specificity to any of the actual points I brought up, even with a script in an edited video, reading, looking down, getting nervous. I know he won't be on camera. And you have to be on camera too, Ranty. But the viewer wants to see us both on camera, man.
I have no problem going on camera. I've never had a problem going on
All
camera.
right, perfect.
I just couldn't be asked that day. I'd already had 6 pints by the time I debated you, and even then I wrecked you. Even then I wrecked you.
Yeah, dude, for sure. So then we should definitely just go. You might as well just get drunk again. We can definitely just do it on like a big channel then. So we got a big channel. We're going to have you're not going to interrupt. We're going to get to make the points or whatever back and forth. Have the allotted time, and then we have an open discussion, and we're both on camera. Then boom, run it. I'm down.
Absolutely. I'll even debate you sober. This time I'll make sure that you're wrecked into oblivion. How's that? Right.
Perfect.
I'm going to go on mute and leave you guys to finish him off.
All right, cool. So do you guys believe in dark matter?
Dark gravity?
Ranty, he didn't do the math.